Namaste yogis, Sesa here. I have Kate demonstrating for our 1 hour yin and yang class. No crazy intro, sorry to disappoint you. But let's get started. We'll start from child's pose. So if you want to sit towards the back of your mat on the tops of the feet and the shins, big toes touch, knees can touch as well unless you prefer to open them a comfortable distance. Arms can extend forward or down the sides of your body. Whatever feels right, and just giving yourself these first few moments an opportunity to transition, shifting gears, if you will, slowing down. Just like everything in life, we don't want to just come to a slamming halt, right? But we want to slowly adjust, reacclimate. And so in child's pose, it's a very centering pose. The fetal position representing kind of a new beginning. And so as you sit here, try to step aside from anything that extends beyond the mat, any thoughts, responsibilities, obligations, opinions. And just begin to drop into your body. And for the next hour, just being mindful of your practice here. Oftentimes you hear that every time you come onto the mat, you should treat it as if it were your first time practicing. And that is because our body can show up very differently day to day, along with the state of our mind. So just accepting your body for where it's at right here, right now. Remembering it's not so much that we're going to try to use our body to get into the poses, but we want to use the poses to get into our body. And one of the best ways we can do that is just simply by focusing on the breath. So let's first let go of a nice long exhale. And then take a deep inhale through your nose. Send that breath to the hook of your tailbone. Feel your ribs expand out horizontally. And then open up your mouth. One more deep inhale through the nose, holding that breath at the very top. Unless you're pregnant, you always want to keep breathing. And then open up your mouth and audibly let it go. Last one, deep inhale through the nose to hold. This time, keeping your lips sealed, go ahead and just slowly exhale out the nose. And then just continuing to breathe in and out your nose as slowly and as deeply as you can. Trying to find this seamless flow of where every inhale bleeds into the exhale and vice versa. And then from there, let's go ahead and inhale. Extend those arms long to the front of the mat. Open your hands up, shoulders distance apart. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, downward dog. We'll lift the hips, tuck the toes, press your heels towards the earth. So feel free to pedal out your feet, come up and down on your toes a few times, whatever feels right to the body. Do take a quick look at the hands. Be sure they are jetting straight out from the shoulders. Ideally, it's your index and middle finger that points straight forward. But if you're sensitive and the wrists are super tight in your shoulders, you can turn your hands a little further out. And then as you relax your head and neck, just look back at your feet. Let them rest hips distance apart. Make your heels spin back and just slightly out so they disappear behind your toes. And then even if you have to bend your knees a lot, I want you to think of lifting your hip creases straight up to the sky as if you're trying to get those sit bones to touch the ceiling. Now, keeping that length you just created in the lower back, I want you to knit the front ribs and even sternum bone in so you don't just dump into the upper back. Your goal is to accentuate the natural curves and convexes of your spine. Try to keep the height of your hips as you just begin to play with pushing the tops of your thighs straight back to help anchor your heels down. Now, keeping your head and neck relaxed, we'll just consciously think about your hands. Can you lift just your fingertips up off the mat? So you ground down through the whole circumference of your palm. And then as you spread your fingers wide, you'll fan them into the mat at each knuckle, ending with your fingertips. Now keep your hands as they are, but you're gonna hug your shoulder blades to the outer rib cage. That's gonna help wrap your triceps back, and then I want you to think of lifting your forearms forward. And then with an inhale, we will come forward, high plank or top of a push-up. Just lowering your hips in line with the shoulders, drive your heels back. Firm your thigh bones up to the ceiling. Unless you need to drop to the knees for modification, use them. Let's keep the hips level with the shoulder blades. And at the slightest tuck to the tailbones, you can pull your lower belly in. With your wrists, elbows, shoulders stacked, I want you to push down so much into your hands that the natural reaction is your chest and the back of your head lift up. As the space between your shoulders gets really broad, think of sandwiching the shoulder blades down the back so you're not rounding out, and then lengthen the crown of your head forward. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Inhale, come forward, high plank. And exhale, downward dog. 2 more. Inhale, roll forward like a wave. And then exhale, pulling back. Inhale to high plank. Exhale, downward dog. Now inhale, come forward. If you need to drop to the knees, use them. I want you to lean your shoulders forward. And with an exhale, go halfway down, hug your elbows straight back, look forward. And then inhale, push up, high plank. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Now let's inhale, come forward, high plank. Again, drop the knees if you need them, lean forward, exhale, halfway down. Inhale, straight back up. And exhale, downward dog. Now inhale, roll forward, lean forward, exhale, chaturanga, go all the way to the mat. Go to rest the center of your forehead down, put the tops of your feet down. Slide your hands back so the wrists do stack directly under your elbows. And then with an inhale, begin to pull the crown of your head so far forward that by nature your head, your chest begin to lift up. The skin of your elbows pull straight back. You push into the tops of the feet and trying to get all 10 toes into the mat. The shins and knees will lift. The thighs firm. Hug your outer hips in as you think of tucking your tailbone down to the earth so your pubic bone even pushes into the mat. And then inhale, maybe lift a little higher. And then exhale, set it all down. Inhale, low cobra, Bhujangasana. And exhale, let it go. Last one. Inhale, gentle back bend. And exhale, release. Tuck your toes, drive your heels back, firm your thighs up, pull the belly in, and then inhale, push up, high plank. And exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. From downward dog, let's inhale the right leg to the sky, flexing to the heel. With an exhale, we'll pull the knee to the chest, shoulders land at your wrists, look forward, get those hips low, and think of trying to curl your tailbone between your hands so the belly pulls in. And then inhale, lift that leg up and back. Now exhale, knee back into the chest, shoulders land at your wrists, belly tight. Inhale, stretch it for the sky. On your own, breath per movement, just back and forth like this. Building heat in the upper body, checking in, tapping into the core. Getting into that right quadricep, hip flexor, and even glute, hamstring. And then with your next exhale, we'll meet with the knee at the chest, shoulders at the wrist, look forward, and then step next to your right thumb. Go ahead and drop the back knee, the top of the foot to the mat, and just bring both hands to the top of your right knee to lift the chest. As you push your right thigh forward, I want you to imagine squeezing the inner thighs closer together. Tuck your tailbone down so the front of your hips lift, especially that right hip. You don't want it creasing to the top of your right thigh. Front ribs knit together, stabilizing the spine. Now keep that, reach your arms straight up towards the ceiling, palms face each other, triceps wrap forward, the shoulders soften down the back. We breathe. Take an inhale. As you exhale, drop your hands behind your back, interlace the fingers, pull the knuckles down towards the left hamstring. Inhale, maybe lift your glance up. And then exhale, fold inside your right knee. If you can't get inside, go over the top of your thigh. Drive into the left shin, the top of the foot. That should help stabilize you. Push your right shoulder into the inner right knee so you hug that outer right hip in. Just a version of our humble warrior, but with our back knee dropped. Try to keep the head and neck relaxed. And then go ahead and gently release your hands down to the inside of your right foot. Tucking the back toes, drive your left heel back to lift your left thigh bone up. Now with both palms pressing into the mat, I want you to think cobra up dog in your shoulders. So lengthen the spine forward, lift your left thigh against the weight of your hips getting heavier. Now notice your right knee. I want you to squeeze it into that right tricep or shoulder. And then we're actually going to reach that right arm forward as if you're reaching out to shake somebody's hand. Now you should be able to squeeze your right knee into your right armpit, the inner right thigh to that outer right rib cage, creating some traction, some friction. Belly pulls tight. If this isn't enough, you might try reaching your left arm forward without lifting your chest at all. You want to keep that right thigh and knee sandwiched to that outer rib cage and torso. Lift that left leg, drive through the left heel, breathe in and out your nose. Take an inhale. As you exhale, you're going to plant your left hand to the mat, circle your right arm up to the sky, and we'll twist. Left heel continually pushes back. Left thigh bone is still lifting up. Perfect 90-degree angle on that front leg. Left palm pushes down. Left shoulder blade wraps away from your ear, down the back. Top arm reaches just straight up. Don't try and pinch it back behind you. The twist will come from your spine. So knit your front ribs in. Lengthen your left side ribs forward and then think of twisting them towards your inner right thigh. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, right hand to the mat. Step your right foot back. Chaturanga as you're ready. Inhale, cobra, maybe up dog if you're feeling ready for that. Exhale, roll over the toes, lift the hips, downward dog. From downward dog, we'll inhale the left leg to the sky, flex to the heel. Keep the hips square, neutral, and then with an exhale, we pull the knee to the chest, shoulders land at the wrist. Look forward, get your hips actually lower than your shoulders, and remember, tuck your tailbone to the space between your hands so your knee can come into the chest. And then inhale, stretch that leg up and back. Exhale, pull the knee to your chest, shoulders at your wrists, look forward. Inhale, stretch it high. On your own, breath per movement, just like this. Very similar to the knee to nose that we do a lot of times in classes, but this version is a little bit harder. A little bit more involved, right? And I'll even give an example later, the difference in the two variations. But breathe. With your next exhale, we'll meet with the knee at the chest. You're looking forward, so you can step forward. Left foot next to the left thumb. Drop the back knee, top of the foot to the mat. Bring both hands to the top of your left thigh, pushing your left thigh down and forward to help lift your shoulders up and back. But then also think of squeezing your inner thighs closer together, so you're not just collapsing the pelvic floor, you're actually lifting it. Lower belly and front ribs knit together, and then we'll reach those arms up towards the ceiling. Palms face each other. Imagine you're holding a yoga block up over your head. Triceps wrap forward, trapezius soften away from your neck. Breathe. Take an inhale. Exhale, release your hands behind you. Interlace your hands the non-habitual way. Pull the knuckles down the back of your right leg, lifting the chest. Take an inhale. Exhale, gently fold inside the left leg if you can. If not, you can fold on top of the left thigh. But try to relax the head and neck. Pull the hands up and overhead as much as you can. Pressing into the right shin and the top of the foot. If your back toes are tucked, you just have to really drive the heel back to help stabilize. Belly pulls in. You're breathing. Remember, the breath is the one thing we can always focus on to help keep us present, especially in those balancing poses. Take an inhale. As you exhale, hands to the mat. Inside that left foot, just plant your palms, tuck the back toes, drive the heel back, and lift that right thigh bone up against the weight of the hips going down. So you really want to lift that right thigh higher than you think you have to, lengthening the spine forward. Now keep everything. You're just going to reach your left arm forward as if you're reaching out to shake my hand, and then squeeze your knee into your armpit and that inner left thigh to your outer torso, pulling the belly tight. And if that isn't enough, you pull the belly in, drive into the right leg, and maybe reach your right arm forward. But don't lift the chest. I want that torso and that inner thigh to be sandwiched together the whole time. Breathe in and out your nose. Wherever you're at, take a deep inhale. Exhale, right palm will plant to the mat, circle the left arm up to the sky. Drive into the right heel, straight back behind your big toe, right thigh bone lifts up. Right palm is pushing down as your right shoulder blade. You roll it down the back and also try to protract it even here. So hug it to the outer rib cage. Top arm is just reaching straight up towards the ceiling. Lower belly and front ribs pull in. Now try to lengthen your right side ribs forward and twist them towards your inner left thigh. Looking to where you need it. Taking one last deep breath in. Exhale, left hand to the mat. Step your left foot back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog. Let's go ahead and inhale, bend the knees, draw your hips way back, look forward. Exhale, take a giant step, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, glance out, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold in. We'll do two more. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, glancing out. Exhale, glancing down and back. Now with the same flat back, inhale, circle your arms to the sky, Tadasana, mountain pose. Exhale, pull the hands to heart center, Samasthiti. So if you have lower back pain, hip problems, feet can be hip distance apart. Just make sure the toes turn slightly in so all 10 toes point straight forward. If not, you can bring the big toes to touch, but separate your heels enough that you can maybe put your index finger in between them. Wherever you decide to go with your feet, everybody inhale, Tadasana, circle your arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips, let it go. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step, maybe jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. So Surya Namaskar Series A. But we'll take a few detours in between. Let's inhale that right leg to the sky. Now with an exhale, this time, knee to nose, round the shoulders. Think cat pose, pull the belly tight. You can bring the knee to the nose, tucking the chin. And then inhale, lift that leg up and back. Exhale, pull the knee to the nose, belly tight. Inhale, stretch it up and back. So on your own, just like this. So we did the one earlier where we land the upper body more in high plank. And this time I want you to allow the upper back to round out as you tuck the chin, bringing the knee to the nose. Generally, the hips actually stay a little higher and you're really rounding out the spine. Not one is better than the other, they're just different. Breathe. Now let's inhale the leg up and back. Exhale, pull the knee to your nose. Get that deep cavity in your chest. Can you keep your chest this high? Look forward, step forward. Ugh. This time we'll stay on the back toes. Inhale, reach to the sky, Crescent Pose. So this time bending your back knee enough that you can tuck your tailbone down, neutralize your pelvis. The front of your pelvis lifts. The lower belly pulls tight. The inner right thigh, draw it forward and down to get the front knee to the ankle. Inner left thigh works this way, back it up. But at the same time, at the point closest to your groin, I want you to think of squeezing the inner thighs close together. Front ribs knit in. Tadasana up through those arms. Wrap the triceps forward. Take an inhale. Exhale, release your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers. Inhale, knuckles anchor down. Glance comes up. And then exhale, fold inside or over that right leg. Another humble warrior. Stay on your back toes. Just drive the left heel back. We're challenging our balance. We're working on building heat. Hug your right hip in. Pull the lower belly in. Find a focal point, something to look at to help you stay balanced. And then gently release your hands inside that front foot. Press into the palms, lift through the spine. Drive into the left heel, lift through the left thigh. And then reaching that right arm forward again. Hug your right knee into the armpit, the inner thigh to your outer ribs. Pull the belly and lift your left thigh and try to reach the left arm forward. It's just going to be for a second. And then reach up, crescent pose. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step your left foot up to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive your arms to the sky, Tadasana. Exhale, pull the hands to heart center. Inhale, arms fall before they rise. Exhale, forward fold, let it go. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Now from downward dog, let's inhale the left leg to the sky. Hip remains neutral or square. Exhale, pull the knee to the nose. Round the shoulders, pull the belly tight. Think cat pose. Inhale, stretch the leg up and back. Exhale, knee to nose, shoulders land at your wrists. Inhale, kick it to the sky. And you just go on your own, breath per movement, just like we did on the other side. Every inhale initiates the lift up. Every exhale begins the pull towards the body. Then with an inhale, we'll lift the leg up. Exhale, pull the knee to the nose. Keep the height of your chest, but look forward to step next to your left thumb. And then inhale, crescent pose, reach straight up. So bending into the back knee, the front back heel should pull forward to stack with the toes. Front knee should stack at the center of your ankle. You tuck the tailbone down to lift the front of your pelvis up. And as the inner thighs draw away from each other, I actually want you to imagine you're dragging the feet closer together. Front ribs knit in as if you're wearing a corset to lift the back ribs up. Soften the shoulders and then lift your arms from your waist towards those fingertips. Take an inhale. Exhale, release your hands behind you. Interlace the fingers the weird way. Pull the knuckles down. Inhale, look up. Then exhale, gently fold over or inside that leg. Interlace hands, pull up, maybe overhead. Right heel pushes back, right thigh bone lifts up. That's still your anchor, your stability. Left sit bone, think of hooking it towards your inner right thigh. So you're keeping that left hip from popping out. Pull the belly tight. Breathe. Let the hands act as a weight. Maybe they pull a little further. And then gently exhale, both hands inside your left foot. Keep the feet the distance they are. Just push into your palms. Then cobra up dog in your shoulders. Lift through that right thigh. Let's reach the left arm forward. Hug your left leg to the outer left torso. Belly pulls in, right thigh really lifts, and then just reach your right arm forward for a moment. And then inhale, crescent pose all the way up. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands down. Step your right foot up to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Tadasana, rise. Circle the arms up. Maybe watch the palms kiss. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, Tadasana, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, looking down and back. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Now from downward dog, we'll take a nice deep inhale through the nose, holding this breath at the very top. And then open up your mouth. One more deep inhale through the nose to hold. And then this time, like a line, stick out your tongue. And just go back to breathing in and out your nose. With an inhale, we'll bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. So big toes touch, heels separate a little bit for transitional purposes. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Bend your knees, drop your hips, reach up. So lift the toes up, but I want you to try and feel the weight push straight down into the middle of your feet. Draw the knees back so you can see your toes. And even though you're working your knees together, it's actually important you resist them apart so they stack at the center of your ankles. Thighs become heavy, tailbone draws down, lower belly and front ribs pull in. Now keeping the torso upright, I just want you to reach your arms forward as if you're reaching out for a hug. You're going to cross your right elbow under the left. Maybe you just grab opposite shoulders like you're giving yourself a hug, or lift the forearms and try and twist through the wrists so your palms meet. Thumbs should always point towards your face. Now shift the weight over into your right foot. Inhale, lift that left leg high up and over, crossing like a lady does at the dining table. You could use your left toes as a kickstand. You may be able to wrap them and hook them onto the back of your left calf. But then I want you to hug your left hip back as it has a tendency to pull forward. Sit down deep into your own lap, lean the shoulders back, lift the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Forearms draw forward, shoulders drop down your back. So you should feel a big opening of space between the scapulas, getting into the trapezius, the rhomboids. Now keeping the arms exactly as they are, inhale, unwrap that left leg, just stand up and bring the left knee towards your chest. Pull the belly tight, stamp heavy into your right big toe. And then exhale, kick your left leg straight back, bound arms go forward, warrior 3 with an eagle arm variation. Flex that back heel, spin the inner left thigh towards the ceiling. The hips should be level, hug your outer right hip in. The fingertips now pull forward as the forearms draw towards the mat. Front ribs and belly pull tight. Now I want you to just bend your standing leg very, very deeply. Keeping the arms, I want you to step your left foot back for a warrior 1 variation. That heel will be down, back toes turn forward more than halfway. Torso lifts, fingers pull up towards the ceiling. If you can go up enough that eventually that can go into a back, feel free to begin to try and parallel your arms off to the ceiling. Right thigh still works its way forward. As you go up and back with the shoulders, the hips have to sink forward and down. Breathe. Now keep the arms, take an inhale. Exhale, fold inside that right leg. Humble warrior. Now ground down to the knife edge of that back foot. Allow those bound arms to fall towards the mat. The fingertips may even touch the earth. Let your head and neck relax so they hang in the nest you created with your arms. Push your right shoulder into that right knee. Hug your right hip back. Pull the belly tight. And then inhale, think flat back, pull the belly in to slowly come all the way up. Gently unwrap your arms, reach your arms up. Take an inhale. Now exhale, warrior 2. Drop your arms to a T. Turn the back toes a little further out, but they still turn forward at least 10 degrees. Inner left thigh wraps back, inner right thigh draws forward. Tuck your tailbone down, pull the lower belly and front ribs in. Now you're going to go ahead and just drop your right forearm on top of your right thigh. Right forearm to the top of the right thigh. Wrap your left hand onto your lower back. Reach for your right hip crease. Maybe you can grab your thigh, if not the edge of your pants. Lifting the tip of your left shoulder up. Front ribs pull in. Pushing into that right forearm so you can roll your right shoulder blade down the back, but then at the same time, lengthen your right ribs forward into it. You can stay here. If you want to add a little bit extra, you might reach your right arm forward, taking the unsupported variation, but breathe. Wherever you end up. So keeping your half bind, take an inhale. You're just going to slowly release the right hand inside your right foot. Cup the earth with the fingertips. Maybe it goes on a prop. You could stay here with the half bind as you've taken it a little further already. If you want to try and fully wrap it up, that right arm will wrap underneath your leg. It's very important your right hand grabs your left wrist. Don't ask me why. I didn't make up the rules. But then you pull both hands towards your back foot, and that should help hug the right hip under and keep the left shoulder on top of the right. Last few moments. Wherever you're at, you'll look down. Push down, warrior 2, come up. One last time. Take an inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Step back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we'll inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. So again, big toes touch, heels separate a little bit. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Hips go low, arms reach up. Now keeping the shape of chair, you're just gonna reach your arms forward. This time your left elbow crosses under the right. Find your version of the eagle's beak, whatever that may be in your body. Shift the weight into your left foot. Inhale your right leg high and over, crossing. The higher you can cross up towards the groin, the more likely you'll be able to get the hook of your toes. But some people's bodies aren't built to do it, so be okay with that. You might just glue the foot to the outer edge of your calf, but hug your right hip back. Sit your thighs heavy, lean your shoulders back. Lift the fingertips up, forearms forward. Garudasana. Very calming pose if you let it be. Turns off with the fight or flight mode. So keep the arms. Inhale, slowly just stand up, bring the right knee up into the chest as you unravel it. Stabilize heavy into the big toe of your left foot. Slowly kick your right foot back, warrior three with bound arms. Flex your right heel. Lift the inner right thigh for the ceiling. Hug the outer left hip back. Pull the fingertips forward, away from your belly button. Draw the forearms towards the mat. Breathe in and out your nose. So remember, we bend the standing leg deeply, but this time we step that left foot back to a warrior one. Back toes turn forward more than halfway. Front knee stacks at the ankle. Tailbone draws down, fingertips pull up, front ribs knit in. And if that up gives you the space to go back, go through the shoulders, lift those forearms towards the ceiling. Your glance goes with it, but you never want to just let your head fall back. Imagine you had a baseball or something behind your neck. Hips sink forward and down if you do so. Breathe. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, humble warrior. Keep the arms, just fold inside the leg. Relax the head and neck. Ground down to the knife edge of your back foot. Hug your outer left hip in. Let the head and neck hang heavy. Maybe your fingertips lay on the mat. Maybe it's closer to the forearms, or maybe they're not anywhere close to the mat, and that's okay. And then inhale, think flat back, pull the belly in to slowly lift your chest. Unwrap the arms, reach up, take an inhale. Exhale, warrior two, arms to a T. Back toes just turn out a little bit, but the back toes should still be up in front of your heel, at least 10 degrees. Inner thighs work away from each other. Tailbone draws down as the rest of your spine lifts up. Front ribs pull in. Left forearm to left thigh. Right arm will wrap onto the lower back. Now we're getting into the front of the shoulders and the front of the chest. Lifting the tip of your right shoulder up. But if the front ribs popped out, you're going to collapse the lower back. So I want you to knit those front ribs in. Roll the left shoulder blade away from your ear. Lengthen those left ribs forward. If this is enough, stay put. If you want that extra, you reach the left arm forward, palm facing the sky. But don't let the knee knock in, and try not to straighten your leg. Breathe in whatever variation you're in. You're going to keep the half bind. Slowly release the left fingertips inside your left foot. Getting deeper into that left hip. Push your arm into the knee into your arm. Stay with the half bind, or maybe you take the full bind. Left arm wraps underneath the left leg. That left hand grabs your right. And then you pull both hands towards your back foot. Leaning your shoulders back. Hugging the left hip in. Are you still breathing? And then looking down. Push down, warrior two. Come all the way up. Take an inhale. Exhale, windmill your hands down to the mat. Step back. Chaturanga, or don't. We will meet you in downward dog. From downward dog. Let's go ahead and inhale the right leg to the sky. Exhale, pull the knee to the chest. You can step in between the hands. Drop the back knee, top of the foot to the mat, and slide that back leg back an inch, maybe even 2 or 3. Now I want you to flex your right foot and just walk the pinky edge of your right foot to the dead center of the mat. You'll flex the foot and then slowly try to drop your right knee off to the right. So if your foot has to slide down towards your pubic bone, by all means do so, but I want your foot to line up with the pubic bone, belly button, or sternum bone, so the midline of your body. The left hip wraps forward, so you square off. If your right hip doesn't touch the ground, you want to sit on a prop, a bolster, a block, something. And then, as you're ready, you're going to slowly take your left hand and string it in front of your left shin. So you're going to reach out to the right, let your left shoulder come all the way down to the ground. You can use your right arm kind of as a prop to help keep you up. If you want to get into both shoulders, you could then actually reach your right arm off to the left in the same direction, or in the opposite direction of your left. So it's almost like you're taking Garudasana again, but we're getting into a more yin variation of it. If not, you're just working in that left shoulder, and we'll get into the right on the other side. But then try to soften the fingertips and the hands. Let the weight of your hips get a little heavier. Close your eyes. Soften your jaw. Release any tension in the neck, the shoulders. So we know this as pigeon pose in our vinyasa style classes. In yin, we call this one sleeping swan. But again, it's not so much the variation of the pose, the name of the pose, but it's what you're trying to accomplish. And rather than trying to go 110% or go for that deep, intense stretch, I actually want you to do a little less. The physical sensation should not be so much that your body is screaming at you, tensing, resisting whatever it is that you're doing. But that doesn't mean there's no discomfort present. The sensation is there. But it's really meant to be teaching you where your edge is when it comes to your hip joint, that right knee, your left shoulder, maybe even into the right shoulder. Learning to find our edge. Right. It's one of the most important things we can do. Because it's not pushing ourselves necessarily past our limits that builds a strength. It's finding that place just before we want to give up and then sitting there for longer than we'd like to. And that's what builds strength, endurance, flexibility. Whether it's in these yin style classes or even something like a warrior two. We have to just step away from that idea of having to go all out. Or balls to the walls, as they say. So you're going to slowly begin to first draw the right arm out so you can press into the right palm. Just slowly lift your chest up, releasing the left hand. Plant the hands under the shoulders. Tuck your back toes, lift the back knee, and pull your belly in so you can safely lift that right leg up behind you. You can circle out the knee, shake out the leg, pedal out the feet, maybe a little bit of all of that. And then inhaling your left leg to the sky. Exhale, lunge the foot in between the hands. Drop the back knee, top of the foot down, slide that leg back a few inches. Now walk the pinky edge of your left foot to the dead center of your mat, flex the toes, and slowly drop your knee out. So just know that you're gonna have one side of your body that is more flexible than the other. So on this side, for instance, Kate's knee is up, so I want her to slide her foot down towards her pubic bone a little bit so the knee comes down. There you go. That right hip can roll forward. And then she will take her right arm, slide it behind her left wrist in front of the right, or in front of the shin, and come to rest on her right shoulder and ear. Either using the left arm as a prop, maybe you string it out to the right, so you're kind of crisscrossing in the arms, doing both shoulders. But only do as much as you need to, right? Not as much as you can. We have a lot of these preconceived ideas in our head that the bigger the pose, the better. The deeper we can get into certain things, the better it'll be. But it couldn't be quite more the opposite, right? If our body is not ready for certain things and we're forcing it, in the long run, we actually cause injury. We cause problems. Whereas asana in all of its forms, whether it's yang or vinyasa style classes to the yin and restorative, they're all meant to be healing modalities for the body. So just reminding yourself that it's okay to do less. It's okay that one side is more tight than the other. It's okay if yin is sometimes very easy, and then other days it's a lot more difficult to just sit still. Remember, we're meant to be learning our body. Giving it what it needs and not what the mind wants necessarily. Last few breaths. And as you're ready, first unstring the left arm if it's running in front of you. Press into the left palm so you can slowly release the right. Hands plant under the shoulders, tuck your back toe, lift the back knee, take the left leg up and back. Circle it out, shake it out, pedal it out. And then as you're ready, come forward, high plank. Go ahead and drop to the knees, and then even slower, drop all the way down to your belly. Chaturanga in the arms. Once you're flat on the belly, rest the center of your forehead down. Reach your right arm straight out to the right side of the room, so you're making like the half letter T. Look out at the right hand. Make sure it's directly in line with your shoulder. Palm is in the mat. Now look to your left. Bend your left knee. You're going to slowly roll onto your right hand side. Try and plant your left foot behind your right leg. Knee points up to the ceiling. So again, you can use your left hand as a prop if you can't roll all the way back onto your right shoulder. If that feels okay, you might wrap your left hand onto your lower back. If having your left knee point up to the ceiling makes your left hip cramp up, you can slide the leg straight out, but just make sure it is pointing away from your right foot in a little bit of an angle. Let the head hang heavy, so it's either the right temple, the right ear that's resting on the floor. Close your eyes. I call this pose fish out of water. But unlike a fish out of water, it's lacking the ability to breathe in a state of panic. Can you slow your breath down? Get past any discomfort, strain you may be feeling in your right shoulder, the left hip. Remember, if you feel any pain, something like it's going to tear, sharp stabbing pains, roll out of it a little bit. You want to be very gentle. This is a good pose to help balance out what we've been doing, right? The Garuda Asana, what we did in pigeon, that's opening and getting into the ligaments of tissues of the trapezius, the rhomboids, whereas now we're opening the anterior deltoid to the front of the shoulder cap, getting into the bicep, to the pectoralis muscles. So just balancing it out, back to front, front to back. So you're going to slowly roll back onto your belly. Left leg will go straight back next to right. Reach your left arm out to the left, palm facing the mat, and you're already looking in that direction. Make sure the arm is straight out from the shoulder. Then look to your right, bend the right knee, and roll onto your left-hand side. Trying to plant the foot flat on the floor, lifting the right knee up to the ceiling, letting the head and neck hang. And remember, if that cramps your hip, you can slide the legs straight out at any point. If you want to wrap the right hand onto your lower back, be my guest. Close your eyes, deepen your breath. Trying to let go of any anticipation of the length or duration of time we sit in this pose. Instead, maybe focus on what you're feeling within the shoulder. Maybe it's that left hip. Maybe it's even congestion within the spine as we are creating some tension there. Front of your chest. And if all of that is overwhelming or becomes too much, you can always just come to your breath. Watching every inhale and every exhale. And trying to draw those breaths out. making them longer, slower, and deeper. So listen carefully. You're going to actually take your right arm, elbow to the top of your right rib cage, and then just kind of wrap your right forearm around the front of your body like you're giving yourself a hug across the front of your body. And then you're going to roll onto your belly, but then continue rolling all the way over onto your back. Readjust yourself if you need to. Once you're flat on the back, we'll hug the knees into the chest. Bring your forehead up to your knees. Try to grab hold of opposite elbows over your shins. Take one last deep breath in and hold this breath. Feel any lingering stress, tension, emotions come up to the surface, and then hold them a couple more seconds. And then exhale, release, and sprawl open. Savasana. Finding a comfortable shape. Remember, whatever that is for your body, feel free to set this pose up. Using props, pillows. Now, Savasana, although it is the easiest pose physically speaking, right? All we're doing is laying here. It is actually the hardest pose to master. As this is meant to be a place of what is called conscious rest, which means the body and the mind, they find this place of complete rest and restoration, relaxation, becoming corpse-like, if you will. Just like they would at the end of the day when you go lay down to fall asleep. But instead of falling asleep, you remain fully conscious and aware of the body and the mind, yet completely unattached and unaffected. Finding this place where you can step aside. So this is it. Let yourself rest. As you finally just let yourself be. So oftentimes you will hear that the definition of yoga is the unification of mind, body, and spirit. Because as we're on the mat, we're unifying the mind and the body via the breath as we move from one pose to the next. Becoming more and more aware of alignment, muscle engagement, the ability or lack thereof of what our body can do. But the word yoga, it does mean to unite or to yoke. But on the deep and spiritual level, which is what yoga is all about, it means to yoke or reunite you, the Jiva Atma, or the eternal soul, which is temporarily residing within this material body, back into this natural but dormant loving relationship that each and every one of us has with God. And when people hear that, they often think of that means something beyond the body and the mind. But quite the opposite is true. As if you really begin to dive into what yoga is all about, it really becomes a lifestyle where you in fact are using your body, your mind, every breath beyond the yoga mat and in your day-to-day life to be in loving service to God. So in that way, when we can have the true essence of what yoga is, then yes, mind, body, and soul become connected in one common goal. Because we don't have to wait for that point where the soul leaves the body. In fact, in the Vedas, it's stated that we should quite do the opposite. Use every moment that we're given here and now to perfect our spiritual understanding, to further our spiritual progress. So let us begin to wiggle the toes. Fingers, you can roll out the ankles, the wrists, stretch your arms up and overhead, point through the toes, call some energy back into the physical body. As you're ready, gently rolling to the right or left hand side. And then with your eyes still closed and in your own time, you walk up to a comfortable seat. Whatever that is for your body is up to you. You can rest your hands on your knees, in your lap, or bring them to heart center. But wherever you go, sit up tall, close your eyes, and come back to your breath. So at some point or another, allowing your life to be offered up as service from everything we do, from practicing the asana, to driving to work, to our job itself, cooking dinner, right? Whatever it might be that you do day in and day out. Just taking a few moments to close your eyes and simply say a little prayer. Trying to be of service a little bit more. And over time we could become less selfish and we can live a little bit more selflessly. Just something to think about, something to take with you and work with beyond the rubber mat. On that note, namaste.